Hello! Welcome to At the Movies. We're doing audio only this time, just to see how we feel about it. But I am Tim, as you all know, and JT is with me.
I'm JT.
Yes, hi. And we have just two movies for you this time around. And so we watched two movies about monkeys. And unintentionally, specifically two movies about gorillas. And they were Mr. Go and Congo. No need to belabor things. JT, tell us a little bit about Mr. Go.
Yeah, Mr. Go is a really fun... I feel like with monkey movies in general, they're usually, like, that's kind of a genre, like the monkey movie.
Yeah.
And then usually within that, they are like a genre riff on themselves. And like Mr. Go is the monkey movie meets the sports comedy. And it's about I think she's like a 15-year-old girl, Wei Wei, who is left alone with this child circus, and has a gorilla there named Ling Ling who can play baseball. Damned if you know it. And in order to make money for her circus, so she can get out of like debt with like Chinese gangsters.
Yeah, her grandpa owes money. Yeah.
Yeah.
Criminals.
They have the gorilla sent off to join a baseball team with Wei Wei in South Korea, where this like sports agent is deciding he's going to do this big slick gamble. We're gonna have a damn gorilla on the baseball team and see how that shakes out. And of course, there are about we'll breeze past through most of the plot points in this, but of course there are ups and downs in the gorilla's success. And for the what is it? What Bears is the team name? I think it's a real
Doosan, I think.
Yeah,
is
Doosan
the name.
Bears. Yeah, I think it's a real like South Korean baseball team.
Yeah, I don't know much about that, to be honest. So
I remember looking that up the first time I watched this movie because this is a rewatch for me. You got a gorilla on a baseball team. Of course, what's the only thing that an opposing team could use to beat a gorilla is another damn gorilla.
A meaner gorilla.
And it's a meaner one from Wei Wei's circus. They brought in a second gorilla because Ling Ling can hit and this other gorilla can pitch. And
he can pitch like a motherfucker.
Like a motherfucker.
A little too well.
And he is damn nasty. And so, of course, the climax brings the two of them together on the baseball field. And, that's pretty much the movie.
Yeah. Both of these movies, they're both not, like, excellent movies or anything. In fact, this movie looks kind of ugly a lot of the time. They're both perfectly, like, serviceably entertaining movies, and the ape content is the best part of them. And especially with this movie, I found myself kind of zoning out during a lot of the plot stuff for the most part. There's a lot going on with the, like, rival companies that own these two baseball teams. But really the only thing that I cared about was Wei Wei and her gorilla. And the gorilla playing baseball.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like, I think monkey movies in general appeal to a very base, like, sensibility where it's like you watch a big monkey do something that it couldn't possibly do in real life. and it's a lot of fun to watch that happen.
Yeah.
And with Mr. Go in particular, and I mean, I think we'll get into the differences with Congo because Mr. Go is like CG gorillas, and that like is a little bit less fun than in instances that use real monkeys,
Right.
Or like people in costumes, for
Right.
sure. But this is like I don't know. It doesn't like, even though it's like clearly like a fake gorilla in this, I think it is pretty silly, and it goes a lot of places with the premise that I don't know. It's just pleasant. It's like,
Yeah.
in general, like I can vibe with like a sports comedy. Like, you know, all of the genre beats like ahead of time. They're like pretty much like forecasts to you. But that's like the fun of the genre, is that I don't know. You can experience those highs and lows. And yeah, I mean, pretty much the only time, or I mean, the most exciting stuff is when the gorilla's on screen, and
Yes.
they give you like a fair bit of that. I mean, I think like the sports agent stuff like does bog it down, because a lot of the plot is about him being like, oh, well, like I was kind of a fucked up like mean guy, and he does like sort of scam the little girl at first, where he offers
Also
her,
scams the other like investors or whatever by, yeah.
yeah, and like he's kind of a fucked up guy, and you get that aspect of it. But really, it's just I don't know, about a girl and her gorilla.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That is the heart of the movie, and so that was what was making me pay attention. And the best parts are, like you said, when the gorilla's on screen. And I especially love the like midpoint and climax baseball games. There's the one, they're pretty long sequences. There's the one where Mr. Go eventually ends up climbing on top of the stadium and is chased by a helicopter trying to tranquilize
that
him.
rules.
That whole sequence is extremely... I was surprised by how tense and excited I felt during that scene. And the same thing with the climax. The climax is a pretty good encapsulation of the movie, where it does hit those classic sports comedy and really sports drama beats. Like, are long stretches of this movie that really are not trying to be played for laughs and are going for sincere emotion. And I guess some of those moments, I could see someone thinking that they're a little bit corny. But it's all in good fun, and isn't any really more schmaltzy than your average, sports movie. But while sticking to those genre beats, it does also kind of go in places you might not expect. And I think the climax is a good microcosm of that, because you get the classic thing. I guess this is spoilers. You get the classic thing of, the hero is up to bat, and it's neck and neck, and it's all down to this hit, and he misses the first two. He strikes out on the first two. This is why baseball is one of the most cinematic sports, because it gives you the classic rule of threes. 3 strikes and you're out. So you get the perfect build-up and then on the third strike, he gets it. But in this one, it's a little bit of a twist. I won't say exactly what, but it complicates things a little bit and adds a surprising amount of tension to the end. But then it's punctuated by this crazy double gorilla chase and fight sequence. And all that stuff, even though, like you said, I think that the CGI gorillas, especially these ones not really achieving, I think, the level of photorealism that they might want to, are still like very exciting and kind of feel like something a little bit fresh to both the sports comedy genre and the animals playing sports genre.
I mean, yeah, it's just like big high concept like movie fun. Like at the end of the day, and obviously you get some zone out in the mix there,
Yeah.
But I think it just really sells, like, I don't know, I think you distilling it to like the midpoint and then the climax are pretty much perfect, because like other than like really nailing those two beats, and like again, like it's not like all that like nice looking of a movie, it's just
Right.
like pretty serviceably shot. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the most like visually unique stuff is there's like a montage that uses a lot of like split screen.
Yeah, the use of
There.
editing is the most interesting kind of filmmaking stuff. As far as how it's like composed and lit, it is kind of,
Yeah, no, I mean it's like
normal
high
stuff.
key, like comedy, like kind of lighting.
Yeah.
And I mean they're like just outside all the fucking time, anyways.
Right.
But like aside from just really nailing those two major moments, there isn't anything like particularly offensive about the movie or like annoying or egregious. Like at
Yeah.
the worst you could probably say about like the rest of the film is that it's boring, but even then it's like, I don't know, you get some damn gorilla antics. Like he's in an apartment and he's like causing ruckus. He's eating expensive damn plants. He doesn't know
Yeah.
what that is. Like and I don't know, that's just really like the type of stupid fun. I mean, sure, I feel like there's like a type of guy or type of person that like would get frustrated by this movie by the
Sure.
premise alone, but it's just like if a gorilla playing baseball doesn't excite you in a movie premise, just like you're not walking through the door for this one.
Right.
And
Right.
you know exactly what you're getting. I mean, yeah, there are some like unique places it goes with it that I think make it interesting, but you know exactly what you're getting when you sign up. And really, that's all I need for something like this. Is just that it's I don't know, pleasant and doesn't piss me off.
Yeah, it's good, like serviceable family entertainment with enough stuff out of the ordinary to make it worth checking out, I would think. The only gripe I really have with it is that it is billed as a sports comedy, and I really didn't like find it all that funny. Especially the stuff with the sports agent character. He's giving a very energetic and loud performance, and really trying to sell these lines of his, and not all of them are really working for me. And yeah, as you said, there is a certain type of movie watcher that will probably hate this movie just going into it there. This movie has many cinema sins, if you will. But if you're not a fucking joyless loser, then that shouldn't bother you. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't have a whole lot more to say about Mr. Go. I think it's a perfectly pleasant little movie. And if you're like me and you're a big fan of Simian cinema, it's a good one to add to your repertoire.
Yeah, you gotta, if you like monkeys, apes, chimps, whatever in movies, you gotta.
And if
check
you like
this one
baseball,
out.
it's not a bad baseball movie, even though
Yeah.
it's extremely improbable. It is it offers some very exciting baseball sequences nonetheless.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's much more like, I mean, while Congo occupies, I would say, the same space of just being like a 3-star, like decent to like good enough movie. I think there's a lot more there in terms of just like weird, intriguing like
Oh, yes.
details about it.
Yes.
Which, I mean, do you want to get into should we just launch
Sure.
right in and you talk
Yeah,
about
yeah.
the plot summary of Congo?
Yes. So Congo, let's see if I can do this off the dome. So Congo is from the mid 90s. I want to say 95. Where to begin? I forget the name of the gorilla, but there is a gorilla in a like research kind of environment that is being
It's
taught.
Amy the gorilla.
Amy, yes. So it's being taught language, similar to Mr. Go and his and Wei Wei, by this scientist nerd virgin guy. Then you have Laura Linney, works for formerly the CIA and then a communications technology company called Travacom. Who her partner, her fiance, and coworker is presumably killed in
Bruce
the field.
Campbell.
Yes,
Really
Bruce
giving
Campbell.
it his all in like the first 5, like
in the
he's
90
honestly,
seconds of screen time he
honestly
has.
on screen for like 2 minutes.
Yeah, but he really does give it all, and he's presumably killed by some horrifying killer gorilla in the jungle. So her company is leading an expedition there, and the virgin nerd scientist man and his gorilla are accompanying them to help them find whatever. They are joined by Tim Curry, who is a man who is obsessed with this prophesied hidden city that is said to, I think it's gold, that it like contains...
Is it a diamond?
Diamonds, yes. It's full of diamonds.
That's what the scientists are using it for some weird technology thing. And,
I don't really know all the shit
there are a lot of convoluted angles here to get a bunch of different types of people.
Yeah, it's a ragtag group of ruffians and ne'er-do-wells who go into the Congo jungle, including that the dude who plays the fucking traitor from Matrix. I forget the actor's name.
Oh, Joey Pants.
Yes, he's great. So yeah, a whole rogues gallery of people go into the Congo with Amy the gorilla to find the shit that they're looking for, respectively. And I gotta say, this movie was a pretty fun ride. I really liked this movie, actually. It's and I actually think we mentioned earlier that the main difference between these two movies is that Mr. Go, the gorillas are computer animated, and in this one they are people in costumes, which obviously has a certain degree of cheesiness to it, but I honestly don't think it looks all that bad, and kind of prefer it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you're watching a movie where it's like part of the premise is there's like a city being protected by like evil, like strong, ancient
killer gorillas.
Killer gorillas. It's like if you really object to the fact that it's a bunch of people in costumes, it's like
in the 90s especially.
I don't know what you fucking want. From something
like you want
this.
A bunch of like Toy Story quality computer animated gorillas eating people.
Yeah, but no, I mean it's the script, which is really funny, was written by John Patrick Shanley.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
He's one of the credited writers. Oh, and I guess Michael Crichton, who has his hands all over a bunch of weird...
That makes sense,
yeah,
I guess.
That makes sense. And I think it makes sense in this movie being like... I don't know. It's like cheesy in like a pulp adventure novel kind of way.
Yes.
And that's something I really like. I mean, I think it makes like the first third of this movie is incredibly racist.
That is
where they're
true.
just like where they're just like, oh, like the government in Africa, they're just falling apart like left and right. Just,
like when what's his face, when they're on the tarmac and they see like the military guys and they're like, who are they? And the guy's like, fuck if I know. We go through 3 dictators every year here. It's like, oh yeah, awesome.
Yeah, and that type of stuff is just like really like over the top, just how that's played. I mean, it's clearly played for comedy.
You used to be able to do that shit in movies in the 90s.
And like, I don't know, it doesn't, it's just, it's an interesting aspect of it being there, and to look back on that now,
Yeah.
I think is like certainly funny for unintended reasons.
Yes.
But it's a great way, and I mean, you also get that like tiny little scene with Delroy Lindo there, in the beginning.
He's great.
He's great in it, and I don't know, it's just so like
I should say I love the cast in this movie.
Oh yeah,
this is
absolutely.
an incredibly stacked cast, and they're all doing fine work.
Yeah, no,
especially,
I mean, Tim Curry is so fucking silly.
Tim Curry's
in this.
amazing, and I love Laura Linney as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like you get a bunch of pretty like ridiculous performances and just like silly characters. It's just a lot of fun. I don't think like if you would come into something like this and try and like were to try and take it too seriously on like at face value, I could understand why you'd be frustrated with it, but I think that would be a really stupid way to approach it.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, I don't know, a neat, like, light-hearted, like, pulpy feel to it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there is, like, some interesting aspects that I don't necessarily, like, think are intentional. Like, I think the perspective on, like, Western like globalism that sort of emerges through like the attitudes it has towards like African governments, and
especially Laura Linney's character and her supposed backstory.
Her being like CIA and then working for a big company, and it's like a big evil company and all that stuff. Like, I mean,
a communications company in the 90s. No,
it's not like an insanely deep read. And, like, I don't want to give it, like, too much credit, but it's...
Yeah, it doesn't delve very deep into those things, but they are kind of, like, interesting little things.
Yeah,
little
details. It's interesting that it's there in the background. And then, I don't know, it's fun to, like, go on a little journey through the jungle. And I think that ultimately... Oh, and there also is that kind of... I mean, I don't know... I want to say it's racist, that tribe that they encounter at one point that are...
it's probably racist.
I don't think there was any research done on that. I want to assume
certainly
no. Not. But I don't know. It's just so fucking ridiculous. And then you get to a bit... You get like... I like that you have Amy follow like throughout, and that like... this gorilla supposedly has like a memory of like this city
of the gorilla Atlantis.
Yeah, the gorilla Atlantis, and then I mean it just builds to like the exact type of climax you want, which is just a bunch of people just fucking plugging gorillas in the head.
Laura Linney slicing gorillas in half with a laser.
And it's just I don't, what's not to love about that?
Yeah, no, I had great fun watching this movie. I hate to always say shit like this, but it is the kind of movie you don't really get anymore. Just kind of a weird kind of middle to high budget, high concept adventure flick with a bunch of really fucking good actors in it. And it's pretty funny. I was laughing for most of it. It's suitably ridiculous. And before we close things out, you know, this is a video about monkey movies, so I think we should discuss the apes in these movies a little bit more, because they are the reason we're even talking about these movies in the first place. So why don't we let's talk about the characters of Ling Ling and Amy. What do we think about them? Which one's your favorite? How do they stack up against each other for you?
Well, I mean, I think Amy is obviously, and I mean, not just because like you can clearly tell that it's a person doing the performance, but I think just because of the intelligence that they give her, and like the little weird robot glove that helps like through like give like a Stephen Hawking chair voice to her gorilla sign
Oh yeah,
language.
she signs and it makes like a Siri voice.
Yeah,
To
exactly. Which,
translate.
like, a hilarious scene in the beginning where it's like blowing people's minds that this can happen in the 90s. Like, that gorilla can talk? I mean, basically what you were saying earlier, where I think it's more interesting to do like a practical effects version of this. I mean, practical effects in this just being like a not really convincing like monkey suits, but like monkey suits nonetheless.
They're still cute sometimes though.
Yeah, it's like that is more of an interesting way than like when you look into, and again, like the gorilla in Mr. Go, Ling Ling, I think is like characterized as like human to some extent, like when he is getting like that like the surgery, like he gets like a medical ailment at some point. In
Yeah,
it,
he's like out of commission at some point in the second act.
yeah. And that, I don't know. I just think it's easier to sympathize with the character of Amy because more is given to that particular gorilla and the way it's portrayed through the.
There's a
effects
greater there's a greater suggested amount of like consciousness and understanding in Amy than in Mr. Go.
yeah, and I think that's like,
Mr. Go is still like fundamentally an animal. Like most of the time, he has to respond to direct orders and stuff like that.
yeah, and I think like the best monkey movies for me are the most interesting like ways you can take like like a weird animal premise is like giving them some sort of human agency or human like higher thinking. Like one that I can think of that I really like is Link, the horror movie, and that's like about like an evil like fucked up orangutan, and I think it's like whether it's like played for horror, which I think like obviously it is in like Congo, just there's like an unsettling quality to an animal acting like a person, and you don't really need that in Mr. Go. I mean, I guess if you wanted to play up more comedy, I think you could have him have more human qualities, but I think like the human qualities just take it to a strange level that adds a different flavor and like hypes up it just being unrealistic and cinematic in a way that I think like Congo is more playing into the fact that it's incredibly unrealistic than Mr. Go is like still trying to be like grounded in the realism of like, okay, this is what it would like if a baseball team, if a Korean baseball team were to take on a gorilla, like this is what it would look like in real life, as opposed to like going like completely cartoonish with it. Well, I mean they do to some extent, but not as big as they could.
Yeah, yeah. Especially not in tone. As I said, Mr. Go definitely goes more for serious emotion than Congo does. Congo's pretty consistently ridiculous throughout. Amy could not hit a baseball, but Mr. Go would not drink a martini like Amy does.
That's true.
So that's the crucial difference between these two apes is that Mr. Go responds to a young girl with a whip and hits a ball with a bat, whereas Amy is, on a plane with her human guardian and is like, my tummy hurts, I have anxiety and depression, and he gives her a martini and it makes her feel better. Yeah, but yeah, no, as a fan of pleasant, fun movies and as a fan of apes, I definitely enjoyed both of these movies. I know that there are plenty of other monkey movies out there that we could check out. I actually, completely independent of this, started watching the original Planet of the Apes films around the same time as I was watching these, and that was kind of an interesting addition to this. I don't know. I don't have anything else to really say.
Yeah, I feel like that's. I mean, there's not much more to go with. I think like something this like kind of good but middle of the road.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot deep to chew on there, but I like the genre. It's something where I think like. I feel like you got a lot of monkey movies in the 80s and 90s, and I think again we need to return to tradition.
Yes.
And we need. I mean, that's when you're a key time looking for weird high concept.
Right.
Like a weird, just goofy shit, and let's.
The people love monkeys. You know, it's our it's the like Homer Simpson part of our brain. Where,
exactly.
You know, it's.
I'd like to see a real life version of The Simpsons, Hail to the Chimp, where it's about a chimp president. Honestly,
right. Oh, they should do that. They should do a chimp president movie. That'd be awesome. I would definitely see that. Well, anyway, so that was Mr. Go in Congo. A little bit of a quick and dirty one for you this time around. Recommend both movies. Congo's on Netflix, so you can check that out.
Mr. Go's on Tubi, the people's streaming service.
Watch with ads. Yeah, the ads are the worst part, but great selection on Tubi. Recommend. All right, so I think we'll just cut it off here.
Cool.
Thanks for watching or listening, everybody. See you around next time.